Three, two, one, zero.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast. Featuring Jason Fry.
Yeah, I've been just been doing what we do.
Long time listener, first time caller. Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Mark Vasallo.
There would be a lot of places I would launch myself to.
Chip Carlisle. We've had a raccoon come through the screen door down in the family room.
I was a mean kid.
And Josh Ferrand. And now, broadcasting across planet Earth, it is the Knives Templars, coming to you live from PORKHouse Studios right here in Hartselle, Alabama, and scattered across the country. We are on demand, and it's time to sit back and enjoy another show of the KnivesTemplars.com. Well, guys, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
great to be back.
Welcome. I'm sorry. I was watching my Facebook stories and I saw Melissa Backwoods was flexing post workout in the at the gym, and I was like, young lady, she's getting ready for Blade Show coming up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's gonna be out there. I guess it'd be she's an influencer, so wouldn't be a bad idea to get a knife in her hands and have her say, "Hey, look at this." Has she done that for you, Kyle?
No.
All right, I'll speak to her at the show.
She's reposted a bunch of stuff. She runs a lot of the Blade Show's social media stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that. She's a very impressive person, especially in our community. She does a really nice job. She really stays focused in on what she does. And I was sitting there looking. She was like flexing in her post workout. Reminds me of several years ago, I was in this workout craze. It's like 44, 45 years old. No, I was older than that. I might have been in my late 40s. Anyway, I had gone and worked out, and I was all jacked up and didn't look like I do now. It's probably about 185 pounds. And my friend from college, his wife saw my picture on Facebook, and it was just out in the backyard. She said, "You're flexing." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And I really wasn't. I had just got done working out, but then inside of me, I was like feeling like, yeah, this is really cool. It's really cool. I'm looking good. They're accusing me of flexing. And then I realized, it makes me feel like a Guido now, that I'd be on Facebook flexing. So I took the picture down, but anyway, you guys ever in really good shape?
Back when I was in high school. Yeah.
Well, Mark's going to say ever. Yeah, he's still in good shape. You're not talking, Mark.
No. Different stages of shape, right? So there's I have my lifting phase that I was pumping out iron, and then I had cycling and was doing some 100-mile bike rides and some marathons, running marathons. So I did that for a while. I swam in high school and did a bunch of different stuff, martial arts for a long time. So that's a different kind of shape. So yeah.
Well, round is a shape.
It is a shape.
That's
it is
all,
a shape.
All shapes.
It is a shape. I'm rectangle myself at the moment. I have been round. Now I'm rectangle. When I was in high school, I belonged to the weight club in high school, and I used to go to the gym. And the gym I worked at was next to Crockett Promotions. And I think it was called something America's Gym or something like this in Charlotte, North Carolina. But you might know some of these names, but like Ricky Steamboat and Sting and Hulk Hogan when he was in town. But it was like all of that whole Charlotte area wrestlers that were, that whole Charlotte crew, I guess, just the way to put it. They all used to work out there. And I would work out with him, and it was always kind of cool when Ricky Steamboat, that's one I remember the most because I saw most of it. He'd be like, "Give me a spot, man. Give me a spot." Of course, I was scrawny and he was huge, but it made me feel cool for a few years anyway. So I had that's that Trans Am I talk about. That's those Trans Am days when I was riding around in a tank top T-shirt like a fine young Italian you were at one time, and driving around in a black Trans Am, smoking Marlboros and working out. So anyway, now I'm rectangle and have a long beard and smoke a pipe and take a nap halfway through the day because I just can't make it the whole day without my grandpa nap. So, guys, welcome to the Knives Templars. I have the great Mark VMAX Vasallo and the great Kyle Daly on with me today. We've been chattering offline the past several days over the last week as we're ramping up towards Blade Show coming up, I guess. So I don't know if we'll get another recording in before Blade Show, so we can talk a little bit about those things tonight. I do plan to do some recording at Blade Show, but and that may come out during the event or so, but I think we'll have to, next time we record, will be post-Blade Show, so we can jump on some of those things tonight. Guys, welcome to the Knives Templars. We are the greatest podcast out there. We are neck and neck with one other podcast, and we are just slightly ahead of them in the search engines. And that's probably the reason we're slightly ahead of them in the search engines, because it's looking at my search history.
Oh, yeah.
When I start looking, I was like, oh, look, you're that much far ahead of Knife Perspective. But if I go to a Virgin computer that I haven't worked before and click on, it's like, damn that Knife Perspective. Damn them. How did they get ahead? I go back to my own computer and it's like, oh, we're ahead again. So I only look at our podcast ratings, Kyle, when I'm on my own equipment that I've looked at before and for. So keeping things in cache. So Kyle, how are you doing?
Oh, super busy trying to get a whole bunch of stuff ready for Blade Show. Luckily, I've got a bunch of knives that just need handles, so I'm going to be doing that a bunch. And then I should be getting a package tomorrow that I'm super excited from Ira Housework. And he made me some stainless Damascus.
That's right.
Oh, nice.
I am
that's right.
super excited about giving a try, and hopefully everything stays centered and everything grinds well, and that knife turns out. So,
where does Ira's in Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
What part of Colorado?
Hotchkiss, if you know where that's at.
I don't. Where?
It's southwest of Denver. Apparently, it's in this big valley, and it's like known for all the organic produce and stuff. They grow a ton of organic produce there. Gotcha.
Is he coming to Blade, do you know?
Yep.
Wonderful. Always love seeing him. He's such a sweet man. Good man. Yeah.
He's very cool guy.
And artistic as anybody could ever want to be. Did you just? I don't mean to get sidetracked, but you recall that set of forged deer antlers he made, or elk antlers he made? I mean, I thought I was looking at elk antlers. That guy is just so freaking talented. So
his shop is amazing.
That's right. You went there
when we were driving around Colorado for vacation. I sent him a message. I was like, what town are you in again? I'm like, that's kind of like on our way. And my wife was like, you want to stop by this guy's place? And then she was like, only 2 hours. Made me promise 2 hours. And then she was having so much fun with Ira's wife that we stayed 3. So
there you go.
Yeah,
you had to drag her away.
Yeah, she was collecting duck and chicken eggs with Ira's wife and looking at all of her garden stuff. And Ira has this big like swing that is it's got 2 seats, and it has a big pole in the center. And as you spin them faster, they swing farther and farther out wide. And my boys were having a field day with that. Ira made it look a whole lot easier to get him up to speed at the beginning. And when I spun him up, I got hit in the head with the foot as I was trying to get out of the center. So,
what's the town again?
Hotchkiss. Mm-hmm.
Can you use that in a sentence?
Oh yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, apparently, it's got.
Can you use that in a sentence?
Ira lives in Hotchkiss, Colorado.
Okay. Noun. Is that a noun or a verb or a?
I don't know.
It's a noun, I
It's
believe.
a place.
Okay, go ahead and try and spell it.
I don't ask me to spell it. Yeah. I'm probably one of the worst spellers ever, but glad to autocorrect.
HODGEKISS.
No, HOTCHKISS.
Yeah.
Because I just looked it up.
Well, don't you win the spelling bee? Didn't you win the spelling bee? No, I
was trying to find out how far it is from my in-laws. I was like, hey, I can just swing by.
I would think if I was headed to New York State from Alabama, I would still tell my wife, "Hey, do you mind if we stop by Ira's house on the way there? It's on the way."
It's on the way.
It's beautiful. Like looking out his shop door and stuff, seeing all the mountains and everything. It's crazy cool. The boys got to ride a mule for the first time, and yeah, they got to do all sorts of good stuff. Got to drive a side by side and all sorts of stuff that don't do in the city-ish area.
Well, I can say having the opportunity to see you and your wife when she tags you the things that you guys do. It reminds me when our youngins were boys, and it's just real fun to see you guys just having some good old fashioned family time. I assume those boys don't get very much electronics time. You keep them pretty busy.
We try to limit it, but yeah, that's what they want to do the most.
But they're modern kids. They're modern kids. Yeah. Do they have any interest in what you do with knife making?
A little bit. We made a knife together, both of them, after Blade Show last year, and they were in the magazine, or the knife magazine, holding their knives in the article about me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they both made a 6-inch petty knife. Nice. They helped pick out the file work, and were with me most of the time while I was grinding it and everything. One of them helped hand sand his a little bit. The other one helped a lot more with his handle. Then they did a whole bunch of hand sanding, polishing up the handle and stuff like that. And then, yeah, they're always trying to, they're like, you need me to cut anything, Dad? You're making dinner. Do you need me to cut anything? So pretty cute.
Daly and Sons Knife Works. How's that sound?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
we'll see. One of my boys wants to be an engineer pretty bad, and the other one wants to be a race car driver. So,
well, you got to let them follow their dreams for sure. Where am I been the past couple weeks? You guys know, but my son Patrick has wanted to be a dentist since he was 4 years old. He went to the dentist and he walked out of there saying, I want to be a dentist someday. And he's 26, and he's now Dr. Patrick Carlisle and DMD, and he's headed to North Carolina to go to work at the practice. And then in a couple of years, he's going to finish his endodontics specialty. And I've got a great retirement plan now, meaning my retirement was fully funded, and we're good to go. But now I can play poor mouth a little bit and get a little bit off of Patrick. So, hey, Patrick.
What was that?
I was going to say,
other term you said after that?
Endodontics.
Not familiar with that one.
Root canal guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're root. I think they may do other things in that, but they're root canal specialist. So he has a degree in general dentistry, and they. I'm sure everybody wants to hear this tonight, but they were trying to encourage him to go into oral surgery, and that's an area he just did not want to go. They tried to get him to go into, I think it's called periodontics. Is that what? No, what is the one where they braces guy, orthodontics? And he said that in that particular group that you don't have a lot of face time with him, with your patients. You have a tendency more to be writing and developing plans, and your assistants, have the face time with him, putting on the braces and everything and so on. He said that wasn't for him. So I guess root canal, definitely you're going to spend a lot of time with your patient as you're digging the nerves out of their teeth and packing them and making them safe. But yeah, I'm just so proud of him. I've got a couple boys. My other son, engineering, actually has an education degree and ended up working in engineering. Smart young guy, and works in industrial pumping. So if you guys need an industrial pump in your shop sometime, I can hook you up. He actually went down to where you live, Mark, and they installed some big city sludge pumps for when you were working at the city. Sludge pumps for wastewater treatment. Also, that's pretty big units that drive those cities. So, anyway, enough about all that. VMAX, what have you been doing? I see your pretty new shirt you're wearing there. You'll have to describe that to everybody so they'll know why I said your pretty new shirt.
We were talking about before the podcast about AI making different things, but I sat on the computer and did some drawing and cutting and pasting and mostly Adobe and PowerPoint stuff. But made a logo for the South Alabama Custom Knife Makers Guild.
It's beautiful.
And then I, sent it to Shannon and she had it digitized and she stitched it out. She does embroidery. And so got myself a fancy new South Alabama Knife Makers Guild shirt.
I would like to have one of those shirts that you're wearing right now, and that's embroidered on there. I don't know if I necessarily want a collared shirt. Could you embroider that on a heavyweight cotton blend shirt?
You could probably embroider on anything. That's actually what mostly she does for kids' clothes is all cotton clothing.
Embroidering like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. I love that logo. I'd love to have a shirt. Let me know what it cost, and we'll do it.
I'm also, we're also going to do, for more fundraisers, just because these are a little more expensive. To do some she does sublimation. So like the decals that kind of embed themselves into the material. So she's going to make some T-shirts. That we can sell at the Forge Council or at the Knife Guild meetings.
Oh, that's cool. That's wonderful because I know our shirts that get ordered from a local person and they're screen print. But that's really cool. She'll be doing that. As we all know, we've been I got sticker crazy this week. I got stuck in an airport for 12 hours and pulled out my phone. It's amazing what you can do on a phone. And so I made my stickers for Blade Show because you know why? Never made stickers. Well, we made Knives Templar stickers last year, but Jason Fry said, "Hey, we're making stickers for Blade Show," and I was like, that Kyle Daly always makes cool stickers every year, and so does Brian House. I mean, come on. I mean, a lot of these guys make their show. So does Pop. So I'm like, well, hey, I am somebody. I am somebody amongst nobodies, but I mean, I am somebody amongst them. So I decided to make one for the Knives Templars, and we'll. I've ordered quite a few, and I know that Jason Fry ordered quite a few, and please don't buy any. I've got more than I'll give out, so I'll give you guys some when we get there. But I did that, and then I made my annual Blade Show shirt. I've got a couple shirts from the previous 2 years that I always kind of wear there to promote the show, but then I made some for my own knife brand that I'll be wearing. It was kind of cool. I took my cartoonish Sasquatch and put him over my maker's mark kind of craftily, and it looks very nice. And by the way, I use Photoshop for that. I use Pixelmator on my phone. I use Photoshop on my computer. I've still I've used Photoshop since like 2007. And I agree with you, Mark. You got to do it old school sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's places for both, right? So sometimes AI, you can, it's a skill in itself, right? Being able to explain to AI in the words to get stuff, how it wants, but it still is an interpretation of your words. Where if you have a vision in your head, you could make that to the actual vision you see. So I think there's
kinda. Because I will tell you, the sticker that I made that had the little pink animal on it, I kept producing that, and it looked too cartoonish, and then one looked way too real, one looked like a drawing, one looked like evil, mean, and it never really got to what I was envisioning in my head. And I ended up just staying, just settled for something. Rather than and what I settled for was really nice, but it still wasn't what I was looking for 100%. So I think that there's a place for it for people with less creativity that want to do something. I love it when people are able to do their own work in their homes. especially with a computer. But like I said, there's no replacement for Photoshop or another software similar, Adobe or whatever, to be able to do that stuff. Amazingly enough, I don't know if you got Kyle. You don't look like a guy that owns an iPhone.
I do.
You do? Oh, you are an iPhone guy. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pixelmator. I bought it for like $5. Yeah, I bought it for like $5 years ago. And Pixelmator is certainly no Photoshop, but for what you can do on a phone and an iPad with it, it's phenomenal. And especially if you have like an Apple Pencil or whatever, so you can really get in and do some more. But it's limited on tools and stuff. But it's really a cool program if you don't want to go full Photoshop. So,
Yep.
Photoshop and knives. I'm glad people don't Photoshop knives or can't print off 3D print. Now, I guess you can 3D print a knife, but it's not gonna hold up to the bend test.
Depends on what you 3D printed out of.
That's right. We're 3D printing stuff for aircraft now. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That was actually it's additive manufacturing. But 3D printing.
Well, I've seen them 3D print houses on social media where they've got this big 3D printer that's putting down the cement and this and that. I guess we'll all be out of a job someday. It'll be robots, 3D printers, and AI running everything.
Yep. That's why I always make sure to tell it thank you and stuff at the end, so there's a record of me being nice to the AI when it takes over.
So they put you into your own little capsule in the Matrix and just let you sit there rather than use you as fertilizer to whatever.
Yeah. There was a really good show on HBO, Silicon Valley, and it's about a tech startup company thing. It's super funny. One of the better comedies I've watched in a long time. There's some racy stuff in there too, but for the most part, it's pretty funny, and it's crazy. At the beginning, they have like all these buildings getting built and some buildings getting torn down and others replacing it and everything. And every single episode is a little bit different based on what was happening during when that episode aired. So like different companies like Lyft went up and down and different stuff like that.
Yeah. I haven't watched a lot of those shows. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I have heard of that one. I probably ought to check it out. I have one thing to say. VMAX, you've sent us a copy of 5 knives that you've made here, and they look really good on the screen. I can zero in on them.
Yeah, I haven't taken like actual pictures of them yet. I have, and they're kind of greased up, so they got a lot of smudges on them to make sure nothing's gonna.
So VMAX,
rust or anything.
One big question.
Yep.
Why aren't you downloading your guild application and submitting it? These are beautiful. You could do that. 4 of those will go in there.
I don't know. I do think I am going to start that process, but those probably weren't the knives to do it with.
Oh, really?
I mean, they're really good, but I still go through and I'll see something. And they're probably good enough. I don't know. I'll bring some, and then get a chance to have folks give me some input. I'm going to bring a couple to Josh on Saturday when we have our next guild meeting. Have him take a look and see what he thinks.
Is that going to be before Blade Show?
Yeah, that's Saturday.
Well, why don't you ask him if you think that those would pass a guild review?
Yeah, no, I can do that.
Then all you got to do is fill out the paperwork, and there you go. Then
but don't I need like a bunch of stuff, right? I have to get people to. I have to look. I haven't really looked at the process.
So here's what's going to happen when I get to Blade Show on Thursday. Is that the 4th? So, yeah, I think it's the 4th, June the 4th, from 12 to 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. You'll go to the room, which is, I can't remember the name of it. I have it written down in my calendar. But you go to the designated room, 5.
The 5th.
Oh, it's on the 5th. Okay. From 12 to 4. And you'll go to the designated room. And while you're there, they will have already had your application. And all you have to do is email it. And I've got the email address. And once you go in there, they'll have people to sit and look at your knives and see if they will designate you as if they'll pass your knife so you can become a probationary member. And then you and I can travel to Dallas in February with 4 more new knives.
Yeah.
Or we can just trade. If yours passed the first time around and they go, these are phenomenal, we just switch knives and you take mine.
All right. Yeah,
and I'll take yours.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a witness here that's a voting guild member. Crap.
On your application, you have to find 4 guild members to sign off on your application before you can do the voting, or before they can judge the 4 knives.
Right. And he told me to go ahead and just come to the room. He said there'll be enough people in there to look at my knives and judge them.
Okay.
If that's, so I don't know. I told him that I needed to do that. And he said, just come on, we'll get the 4 people to do it. So Mark, you need to consider it. People can't see your knives right here, but I'm looking at your knives and I would say, just from what I'm looking at right there, and I love the size of your maker's mark. I increased the size of mine too. That looks really nice. And your handles look wonderful. So I think it's time that even if you didn't get in, even if I don't get in, we're going to grow by getting there, get into the initial phase, Kyle. Absolutely. But I would go ahead and fill out the application. I don't see anything from looking at these photos that's wrong with them.
And I'm hoping to finish up this one. I'm making a bigger hidden tang that I'm working on now. So
look at you. Man's gone.
I'll see if I can get this one done in time. But
the best thing you ever did is told the city of Mobile, you can take this job and shove it.
Right, time now.
I ain't stopping making knives no more. Heading to my shop before it rusts to the ground. Man's got to move to North Alabama. He's got too much salt and humidity down there in Mobile, Alabama. That's why you got to keep oiling and making. You just can't let those machines. You can't let those machines stop. So,
or you can do like I did and got a 304 stainless steel grinder. It's all made out of 304 stainless steel.
Who made your grinder?
Broadbeck. They made 5 of them, and I got one of them when I was at Blade Show a few years ago.
Isn't that special? And I mean it seriously. A 304 is wonderful. We made all of our equipment out of 304 in the. We went to do a lot in the industry that I'm in, the food industry that I'm in, but also back in pharmaceuticals, we used a lot of 316 and 304. So it's good. It's a good steel for that kind of stuff.
Yep. No non-magnetic, no ferrite in there. So really is some of the better materials for corrosion resistance and stuff like that.
Mark, if you haven't been to knivestemplars.com, I'm just encouraging you to go because there's a lot of good stuff there to see. The best podcast, the best podcast website out there. Every time I look on every time I look it up on the search engines, it always comes up number 1. This other one comes in number 2. But again, that's only on my phone, so we're neck and neck. Kyle, you got a wonderful website. I actually go out and look at it quite a bit. I know you don't change a lot that's out there, but you're kind of a no nonsense, no frills, let me tell you what you need to know kind of guy. And I don't mean that your website's not exciting. I mean, there's no gimmicks or anything to it. It's just, this is what you got. And this is what we offer. These are our credentials, and here's where you can listen to some shows. It's just really good. It's been out there for a while, but Knife Perspective is what I'm talking about, folks. If you haven't been to knifeperspective.com, you need to go there also.
Yeah, I try to always put a lot of links and stuff in the show notes for things that we talked about. So if you didn't write it down or whatever, you can find it a little bit easier there.
Nice. Do you get a lot of people hitting those show notes?
We usually, I guess I haven't really looked at how many hits each of those pages gets. Yeah. I mainly just look at we use a secondary software called Blueberry to kind of consolidate some of the listening stuff. Mm-hmm. We usually get between 350 and 600 people listening per episode, depending on who the guest is and what they're talking about. And Laren's episodes usually always get really high because usually he's talking about something pretty pertinent to the industry, like when MagnaCut came out. I think that one got like over 1,000 listens. So I
was going to say, but your podcast over the course of say 6 months to a year, you've got to be setting much higher in the listens. It's people kind of straggle in and go back and listen, don't they?
Yeah, I was just talking. That's per episode.
Do you know how many total downloads you've had?
not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm pushing for 1 million. Hopefully, we'll get there before I die, and hopefully, I'll live to be old. I haven't looked up what our last podcast was with our guest, but I was getting a lot of feedback on it from people online. Mark, you got anything on the agenda for us tonight?
Well, I think this was going to be the pre-Atlanta Blade Show, podcast. Anything that we plan to do or want to look at or considering buying, and then I think it's always important maybe. What somebody should do if it's like their first time to go and do to Blade Show and how to approach it, and then really if there's any recommendations for do's and don'ts for selling if you have a table and you're listening to this. So all those I think are good options.
That sounds wonderful. Well, we'll jump right into that right after this. Dude, that keyboard, you are so good at it, Mark. I mean, is there anything you don't play?
Yeah, no, not much.
That was good. I like it. You're real bluesy there. That sounded really cool. Hey, before we jump in, I just want to remind everybody of somebody that I care about dearly, and that's You Sell You Diz over at TR Maker, and you can find him at put the dash in there, tr-maker.com. He's been around since 1980. That's 45 years, and they've offered high-quality fast service from Istanbul. That is in Turkey to every country in the world. If you order something on a Wednesday, I've got it on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's really amazing. He ships everything DHL, comes right to you. You track it all the way there. It goes through customs in the air, and when it hits the ground, it goes right to your house. He does a wonderful job. So you need to check out their line of knife making tools and other tools in general, and they'll make your job easier, more precise. Tell you what you get your hands on them, you can't do without them. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I've got a surface grinder coming, and he upscaled his normal size arm is the standard arm. What is it, 1.5 on your? Is that standard 1.5? Yeah. So on the Ameribraid, it's a 2-inch. So he went out and purchased a piece of 2-inch aluminum because he uses aluminum bars, and he was drilling it up today. And tomorrow it'll be in the mail, and I hope it'll be here middle of next week. So looking forward to that. Go out and visit TR Maker. Guys, I want to jump in. Let's go ahead and jump back into Atlanta. So we talked about Guild, and if there's any of you guys out there, and it's coming up quickly. So if you're interested in Knife Guild, and you've got knives that you've made that are presentable, you need to go onto the Guild's website and read the information and print out the application and mail it in as it's instructed in there, and then print out your other paperwork as described. You've got to have some information that shows that you are a seller of knives, that you do have a business making knives, and bring business cards, copy of your website, or a product brochure or something. I'm going to give everybody a sticker. Got stickers for everybody. If you let me in, you get a sticker. And then when you get to Blade, like we were talking about, they'll review your paperwork and everything. You get your signatures, and then you can go through they'll look at them to judge them at that time. So, looking forward to seeing where we can get on that display. Mark, I hope you do it. But what I would say, if people are going right now, if you're going, you need to get some rooms.
Yep.
Yeah, they're probably filling up pretty quick.
Yeah, and they're quite expensive. They're right around the Cobb Center. You can always stay a little further out. I know if you're approaching Atlanta, a couple exits up around Six Flags, which is probably 6-7 miles away, you can get into a place there reasonably, probably in the $130, $140 a night there. But if you're going to be down in around the Cobb Center, you figure at this point you're probably talking $180 and up, depending on where you're at. Yeah, I was going to say, what is it? If you're staying right there at the Waverly, what is that a night?
I think it was like $240 a night or something like that, and then there's all the wonderful Georgia hospitality fees and
Yes.
all the taxes and fees on top of that. So
Yes.
it's pretty
Yeah.
expensive, but it's super convenient. If you're at the show, you can just roll out of bed, go down the elevator, go do your thing. You can have all your stuff pretty close too. So if I need more product and stuff, I can run back to the room and grab it and come back.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't think about that. I know, Mark, you've got your place, but those cots I had were pretty convenient. I probably just could have laid a cot because they're only about half as high as one of the display tables are. I just slept under one of the tables at night.
Tom Crine said he knows somebody that did that on on the Thursday setup. They snuck in and they managed to evade the roving security there all night, and they were able to get in and snag a knife before everybody else got in. So
I guess they after they drank their Mountain Dew, they maintained the bottle afterwards.
I don't know, but it's crazy what some people do for some of that stuff.
Yeah. I'm just going to do like John Daly. I'm going to roll up in my RV and sit outside in some really loud pants and make about $700,000 selling knife memorabilia. So,
yeah, that guy cracks me up. He makes me laugh every time I see him.
I love John Daly.
Saying something funny or just doing something funny.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't die hard and broke. I don't think he'll die broke, but he is definitely living life the way he wants to be. But I tell you what, he's as funny as can be. And you know what? The fact is that he takes some of the chivalry out of golf is exciting in itself. John Daly made it. He's kind of like Happy Gilmore. Mm-hmm. He's kind of got the happy. Back early in days, once he first got wild, he kind of had the Happy Gilmore following. I guess it kind of upset other people.
Yeah. I'm excited for Happy Gilmore 2. That's supposed to be coming out sometime.
I heard. So I wonder if the alligator will make the alligator's got to make a appearance in that second one. I don't. Oh, that's right. The alligator's head was cut off, though. He had his head stuffed, I believe, didn't he?
Yeah. And the guy that played Chubbs died in real life.
Yeah. And I believe the guy that the big tall guy that was in the Bond movies and all that, I think he's passed away as well. Mm-hmm. So, and Adam Sandler's 89 years old, like the rest of us guys that grew up in that era. So he'll. No, it'll be a good. There's nothing that Adam Sandler hasn't put out that wasn't pretty good. So I enjoy that. So we get the Blade Show. You guys take me from there because you're the veteran, Kyle.
So I like to drive in on Wednesday. I spend the night. So I'm ready for setup on Thursday morning. I try to maximize that travel there to make connections and stuff on Thursday and everything. The guild will have a lot of stuff going on, depending on how the elections go the next 2 weeks. I may be put my hat in the ring for possibly being a guild board member. So I believe the voting for that happens next week. So we'll see who the new board members will be.
Good
so
for
I may
you.
be helping out with some of your judging and stuff in the room and stuff like that. So,
well, I would like to. Officially. Don't go easy on me, Kyle. Nobody can see my face right now. No, I'm joking. But no, I'm sitting here praying on video. I'm praying to him, say, please. But seriously, it's one of those things that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'll go back and do better next time. We'll see.
Yeah. It's definitely a good. There was a rabbit for me to chase for a long time. Trying to constantly up my knives every year, and I had one of the guys that signed my application was a friend. He goes, Kyle should have done this 3 or 4 years ago. So, but I just wanted to make sure that I always, like, you're always your worst critic. So yeah, try to do that every time. And on Thursday of Blade Show again this year, there is a special class for 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, it's Mareko Mamasi is going to be talking about the material conservation for the forging smith. So if you're interested in that, that'll be a Thursday class, so you won't have to miss any of the show stuff.
Now, who is Mareko Malmasi? I don't know if I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a fairly famous Damascus guy. Does some pretty high end kitchen knife stuff.
Where's he from? Is he from out of the country?
He's in Oregon, Washington, something like that.
He ought to make some. He ought to make some videos or get on a podcast or something and get himself well known if he's as good as you're saying he is.
Yeah, he's on the Knife Talk podcast.
Oh. Well, maybe he ought to get one of those streaming services where people pay for membership so you can take lessons or something from him.
I think he has a Patreon.
Oh, well, if he's that good, then maybe he ought to go to Blade Show and do some displays for like Amazon or for like Ameribraid. Maybe go over to their booth and present some knives sometime. And
sounds like you know him.
Oh, I'd love to meet him. I've actually, you know what? I've met him personally, and I was in awe of him. He's such a nice guy. If he's meeting you in the general public, I will tell you, those guys drop a lot of F-bombs, and I'm just not an F-bomb person. But that's their business. It's not my podcast. It's not my life. I don't judge them for that. I just don't do that in my life. And so when I met him, I was kind of expecting that. And he was like the most sincere, nicest guy in the world, and just stopped to talk and this, that, and the other. That he's a good teacher above all things. He cares about people. And that was what's really cool about him. I think you see that a lot in our community, but he was really special. So.
Yeah,
So
I really liked his class at the Midwest Knife Makers Guild Hammering this past year. He did a class about chef knives and some of the stuff that he does, and got a lot out of that class.
You know what I really love is those long drawn out. He and Neil make those long drawn out, long pointy chef's knives that seem to go on forever. They're almost short swords, and they're so thin, and then they go up into those integral handles. And it's just a style that I would love to be able to emulate. If I ever have a chance to take a class or something to learn how to do that, I'd love to. But it's amazing I believe they're friends. I think they travel to see each other occasionally. I've seen videos of them over in Neil's shop, but I would love to have that skill set. I think Josh Ferran can make a chef knife that kind of has that profile and that personality to it, and I'm really impressed with his knives as well. He'd probably get mad at me for comparing him to those guys, but he's very talented in that particular arena. It's amazing
Josh
how those
makes
guys
some great knives.
Wonderful maker. It's amazing how those guys can make it look so easy as well. I've sat and watched Josh hammer out chef's knives and start with a block of steel, and it just, it's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and he's got it down. And with me, I start hammering. It's like step 1, step 5, step 2. I better do step 1 again. Oh, let me get out the hot cut and start over here. So eventually we'll get there.
Maybe sometime I'll eventually do some forging. See how that goes.
You've got your anvil, correct? I know you've got your forge.
I've got a forge. I've got a halfway decent anvil. So
you've got one of the cast anvils, right?
I have no idea. It's one that one of my friends gave me to use for a while. He said, just never sell it. If you ever want to get rid of it, give it back to me. So
gotcha.
You can use it as long as you want. So it was one that his grandfather had in his barn.
Also, it's not a cast anvil. It's an old anvil. For some reason, I thought you bought one of the newer, that you had one of the newer cast anvils, which are not bad anvils. I gave one to Mark that's actually fairly nice.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a Holland anvil or one of the Atlas Knife and Tool ones. Charles, who's the owner of Atlas Knife and Tool, he's one of the other board members of the Midwest Guild, and
cool.
Does some good stuff there. He also has I don't know if you saw his railroad spikes, but he had some cast railroad spikes made out of, I think it's like 1078. High carbon steel.
Yeah.
And so you can actually use them for knives and stuff like that.
That's cool. go. You know how we used to have pencil fights in school. You could have spike knife fights, but you've got a loaded knife. It's gonna cut through the other guy's knife with no problem.
Yeah.
Take their money. So, as far as something I would like to talk about tonight, and that's marketing. I think that, and that's all part of Blade Show as well, how we set ourselves apart. But before I do that, I also want to mention that, and we're marketing for other people, and you need to go to Phoenix Abrasives. You know that they offer a KP10 and a Templar's 10. Your KP, is that right? KP10, KP10, or Templar's 10 at checkout for 10% off your order. So if you go to Phoenix Abrasives, they're up in Minnesota, and they have great prices, great selection, and quick delivery. If you need belts, discs, rolls, wheels, anything to be on the abrasive side of products, you need to go out and check Phoenix Abrasives. Now, do they sell your hammers also?
No, they sell my sanding sticks.
So your sanding sticks. Excuse me. I knew that they had something of yours over there. So while you're out there, make sure you pick up some sanding sticks at Kyle's to go with your abrasives.
Yeah. And if you're at Blade Show, they're literally the table right next to me. So
there you go.
They are. And that's how I always go see them every year. I go because you stand out like a sore thumb because you've got such a wonderful table. And that's a compliment. It may not sound like a sore thumb. No, you stand out like a glowing banana or something. I don't know. Maybe that sounds pretty. But no, Kyle's got the most beautiful table, great display, very professional. You actually, if you had your own little shop in this quaint little village in downtown, whatever little town in the Chicago suburbs, that's what it would look like inside. Just a gorgeous setup you've got. But I always know when I can find you, I can find them. They're right next there. And then, of course, you got actually a string of who's who all around you. So, you got that particular that guy whose name we will not mention on our podcast isn't too far from you either, I believe. The guy that's mentioned, he's second place on your podcast.
Oh, Dan? He's got a booth.
No, not Dan. Dan's not second. Dan's wife is first. Who's second?
I forget who.
He's from Wisconsin.
Oh, Jess Hoffman.
He did your study. Yeah.
Yeah. The project.
He's just down from you, isn't he?
Yeah, he's across the aisle. 2DD, I believe is his table number.
It's so funny. I thought he was older than he was, and I ran into him the first year there after we'd had him on the show, and he says like, "Hey, Chip." I go, "Oh, hey, Dan, how are you? It's so nice to meet you." He goes, "Is this your daughter?" And I really thought it was daughter. He goes, "No, it's my wife." Like he was insulted. I was like, "Well, it actually isn't a bad thing to tell a man. Is this your daughter? Because she's a young, beautiful lady." And I was just like, "Is your daughter?" "No, it's my wife." It's like, well, lucky you.
Yeah.
He's a sweet.
Yeah, Jess is awesome. He's actually running for one of the guild board positions also. So,
nice.
Yeah, be cool.
He's a good guy. Guy. He, I always like the fact that he says that he taught us that he grinds his knife backwards. He starts at the tip and then slowly works his way back to where his plunge line's at. And
I've been doing that a lot more lately when I'm grinding. I don't make the tip super thin, but like when I go across the belt, I start at the front and I kind of work back towards the plunge line. Yeah. And this way you don't kind of come in because I had a problem for a couple of knives that I would come in so too hard on the plunge line, and then I kind of make a big gouge, and then you have to get real thin, and so I found this works pretty well for me.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody grinds a little differently. Everybody has different positions that work better for them. I really like using the work rest with that push stick. Mm-hmm. That's the way I found that I'm able to control it the most and have the most control and get it to do what I want it to do.
I'll tell you what I started doing. I don't go from the tip back. I kind of do the traditional where your plunge line is forward. But I start about 10% in from where I want my plunge line to finish, and then I slowly back into my plunge line coming out of it, because I think sometimes you can see a knife that you feel somebody's plunge line got a little wonky, so they just kept backing it up and they get it a little too far back in the knife, just visually. I mean, not functionally, but visually, it just looks a little too far back. And and I used to do that. And that's what helped me control that. But go ahead.
just does a really beautiful, like huge arcing plunge.
How does he do that arcing plunge?
I've not been able to do it, but I also haven't really tried that much.
Yeah, I know that the guy over at Pop's Knife Supplies, is it Dusty? Is that his name? Duckhead Knives?
Not sure.
Yeah, he's their shop manager or whatever. He does that real sweeping plunge line. Andy Roy taught him how to make knives, and he does a beautiful job. Dusty Serpa is his name. He works at Pops. Beautiful sweeping plunge line like that. But marketing, what sets us apart? You know, if you're going to Blade Show, a lot of guys have a lot of beautiful knives there, and there's a ton of people making knives. And I think it comes down to, if you want to be a better knife maker, you've really got to be your biggest advocate. A mediocre knife will sell before a good knife because people can find it, because the person promotes their knife better. Because once you run out of friends and neighbors and coworkers to buy your knives, then you've got to branch out beyond that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but then you've got to do that. So let's talk a little bit about that, how we got started on that, and I'll kind of kick it off here. One of the things that I did early on, even when I was a less than mediocre knife maker, is I developed a podcast. And I think if you listen to episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and probably up to 10 or so, you can hear me continue to say, I'm not a very good knife maker. I'm learning with Joey Terrio and Chris Jones. All those guys were giving me a lot of great advice at that time. And with that being said, one of the biggest things that I did real quick to be able to promote my brand and become more relevant in what we do is develop more of a social, because that's where it is these days. Like you said, the guild would be looking for, the internet to go away, but it's not. And we have to evolve as the internet changes, as the different venues shut down, come up, or block things, or this, that, and the other. But one of the first things I did was developed a podcast, which involved other makers, and spoke about knife making in general. And people listen. We don't seem to have the listenership that you do, Kyle, and we're working on it. During peak times, we'll sit and get a couple thousand downloads in this, that, and the other, and then I'll go through spots where it's like 250, 195, or this, that, and the other listeners per episode over the course of 3-4 weeks. But over time, that picks up, and then every episode will have 1,500, 1,600 listens over the course of a year or more. But it established us more in the community as an individual and also as a group. And then I had to come up with a logo that nobody else had. I didn't want to do the typical knife thing, and I had to find something that was relevant to me. By gosh, guys, I saw Bigfoot in 1978. Call me a liar, laugh at me, this, that, and the other. I saw the hairy man. Now, all those other stories about seeing him after that, never saw him again, but I've made a lot of lies up after that, but for the sake of marketing. But I continue to take and it's not Jack Links by any means, but Jack Links is a story. What is that? Emu on that one show. We've got something that follows us. So I developed a character reference to identify who I am. And of course, Shegman is Beardman in Norwegian, which I've got Norwegian heritage, and kind of just played on that whole thing over time. I realized I didn't want to be a Viking knife maker because I'm not from Norway. I have some DNA, and I drifted more towards my American roots after putting out a lot of that stuff in the beginning, and kind of evolved over time. But I think that when people come in, they have to establish a brand of who they are, and then promote it to the point that you don't become annoying, which I'm probably annoying. I do a lot of promoting, but promote it to the point that you keep it relevant. And when people see you, I get emails quite often about people either wanting to friend me on Facebook or wanting to ask questions, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, ask me? Go ask somebody that knows what they're doing. But I think a lot of it has to do for speaking for who you are. What's some of the ways you guys have marketed yourself?
Yeah, it's not a good question to ask me, so I'll jump to Kyle. I have an Instagram account, and I did make a Facebook account for my for VMAX Custom Work separate from my personal one. So
Yes.
I think that is my first attempt to start separating and making sure my brand is different than my name and my personal account. So slowly I am I'm working on that, and I have a YouTube channel that I'm been preparing to start and do some basic stuff on there. So
I've been following your VMAX account on Facebook, and as I've told you, you're ready for a website. So whenever you're ready to set one up, if you want some advice, some help, or just want me to back off, let me know, because you're completely ready for that.
No, I am. I will get with you. We'll probably talk about it at Blade Show. That'd probably be a good spot to chat about it.
Over some blueberry juice, if we can find some.
That's
right. You go. Kyle, how did you go about marketing yourself? Because you're quite phenomenal in what you've done, and a lot of it has to do with the personality and who you are at the core of who Kyle is.
Yeah. So I always remember riding with my grandpa. He had his own trucking business, did a lot of grain and animals and coal way back in the day. But his trucking company was JH Daily Trucking, and we share the same middle name. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to kind of use the KH Daily. Was kind of my grandpa was pretty influential in growing up and everything. So I really like that name. And turns out when you use some of your name stuff, it makes websites and stuff a little bit easier because there's not a whole lot of people vying for cagedailyKnives.com. So you're able to kind of grab some of those social media things if you're trying to get like knives.com or blade.com or something like that. It's going to be really hard and expensive to try to get some of those things.
Right.
So just try to make something personal. Some people say you shouldn't use your name. Some people say you should. I don't know.
I've heard a lot back and forth on that. I mean, some folks are like, hey, if your name's on your knife, then they're going to know that's a Mark Vassallo knife. But, then I hear the opposite. So
I think having your name on your knife is a good one, especially if you're doing like custom stuff. And then I think one of the bigger questions you might want to ask yourself when you're starting is, do I want to build this into a company and then sell it? Or is this something that I'm going to kind of want to just do forever and it doesn't really matter? If you're wanting to do it and it be your company and you aren't really interested in selling it off at the end, using your name, stuff like that, makes a lot of sense. Cause it's really recognizable. Really easy to find. Some people have made the name work, like Chris Reeve Knives. He's not part of, he's not, he does some knife designs for him, but he's not part of the day-to-day operations. His wife and son run the company now. So, but they still use the Chris Reeve Knives name. So, there's some exceptions to it, but lots of people that end up selling off their company, it's something that that's not really tied to a person's name.
Yeah. Well, nobody could spell Shegman, by the way, or pronounce it. And that was a problem early on. And while I still own Shegman Knives, Shegman Kniver, Beardman Knives, Beardman Kniver, those all redirect towards my page, and eventually I'll probably let them go, except for the Shegman Knives one. I was very fortunate just looking one day, and knife-maker.com was available, and I was like, oh, holy cow. So I picked that up before the cost it cost me on GoDaddy to buy the domain name. And I will tell you that along with social media posting, my website has taken off, and also the visibility has taken off, coming up higher in the search engine. So it's finding the right name also. I think that Shegman Knives is a great shelf name to find at Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops or Smoky Mountain Knife Works. But I mean, it just sounds like it should be an expensive knife. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's an expensive knife, but it sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, doing the marketing and stuff like that. I started off with all the knives. Then when I went full time, or before I went full time, I started making the sanding buddy. That was the first like knife making product that I
Oh, really?
came out with. Yeah. So I wanted to do an S grind on my kitchen knife, and I was trying to make my own sanding stick. And one of my friends, Josh Hoffman, he that I worked with, he had been like, Kyle, you're like good with technology. Like you need to get a 3D printer. You can do so much stuff with it. And I'm like, and then I was talking to him about trying to make that radius to match the platen, and he goes, dude, we can 3D print something. So then I went to work on in CAD, drew something up, and then he 3D printed it, and it worked out really well. I posted about it a little bit on social media and had a handful of people say, hey, can you make that in a 8-inch one? Can you make a 10-inch one for my wheel and stuff like that? So then that's when made the handles kind of separate, so you can swap the inserts in and out. And then after
Now
sold,
I have to ask: is that is the material that you print with? Because you'd mentioned something I was talking about, but wouldn't be able to bend a knife. So the material that you're using to print these with, is it more of an industrial type material that's got a certain hardness or flexibility, or?
it's a PLA plastic, the same kind of thing Josh prints his out of.
So it'd be like more like an injection molding type, if these were injection molded, or
probably
more
not.
like
I'm
an
not,
automotive parts type material.
Yeah, I think most injection molding stuff is like more nylon based.
Oh, okay.
This is like a plant corn based plastic.
Oh, okay.
So it's supposed to be more organically friendly. I don't know, but yeah, after I ended up selling like 30 or more of those sanding sticks, Josh was like, you need to like buy your own printer. And so yeah, bought my first one. And then once I did that, then I was like, I was like off to the races. Was like, yeah, there's so many things you can do. And then that helped make all sorts of jigs and fixtures, and has spiraled into a whole line of knife making products. But when I went full time with the podcast and stuff with Dan, I had started trying to do some YouTube videos, and Dan hit me up like after I'd done like the third or fourth YouTube video. It was like, man, I spent a ton of time on this. It's getting like no views. And then ended up liking to do the podcast a lot more, because you can edit what you say and not have to get it to line up with your mouth and
Right.
all that stuff too. So,
or like me sitting here yawning right now and not having to worry about it being on video.
yeah. So yeah, so then yeah, when I went full time with the knife stuff, yeah, the knife making tools, I was trying to make my own life easier, and then I'd post about it, and then other people would find them useful too. One of the things that I thought literally would only annoy me is the epoxy bottle holder. Like, especially when you get to like below half of the bottle, I flip the bottles over and it sets in there and holds them upside down, so everything can kind of run while you're cleaning everything off. And then it's ready to go to squirt out. And yeah, when I posted about, or I made the first one out of like one solid piece, and had like 15 people say, I need one of those. And I'm like,
Nice.
well, this isn't going to be too easy to print and ship. So ended up making it flat packable so that you can put it together. And
Yeah, I think that's always a key factor in engineering anything or developing anything, is that there's one thing that you can engineer something that works the best, and may be even the easiest to make. But then once you're selling stuff, there's a lot of other considerations. Like how fast can you make it? How does it ship? can it break in shipment? Is there? I mean, there's just a myriad of other things that when you start going the way you do, that you have to consider when you're trying to engineer some of these products.
Yeah, and I've been leveraging Send Cut Send a lot with some of my products, them cutting stuff out of aluminum and stainless for me, being able to use those, like the clamp for my sanding sled, and the sanding sled itself. I'm able to do the tab and slot construction, and then I just have to machine a handful of things, and then do deburring and stuff on it to have a really nice finished product. So I'm able to utilize some of the 3D printing in that too. So like the spacer in between the two plates for the clamp, I 3D print those, and yeah, don't have to pay for like an injection molding thing or have to have something that's super heavy or expensive to cut that's really thick out of metal.
I will tell you one of the things I want to mention on here, and this is the pin sled that you make. I have really enjoyed using that. And I owe you a beer at Blade Show. It's amazing just how quickly you can move and cut those things off. The fact that it's holding it firmly, you're not sitting there trying to hold it on a bandsaw and sit and cut those things. And you can just turn out all these pins, throw them in a bag, and then you're good to go. I've got, and also I'm not wasting a lot of material, so I take out the right slides that I need, so that they're only wide enough that I need them. And I love the fact that you've got 3 pieces that you can slide in to set your width, and so I'm maximizing the amount of pins that I'm using, pin material that I'm using as well. So wonderfully designed product. I tell you what.
Yeah, that one was one that. So I made my original one out of plywood, and I posted about it, tagged Swag Off-Road, and they reposted my video, and I got a ton of people asking where they could buy it and if I could make them one. And I'm like, man, I don't want to make all these out of plywood and like screw them together and all that stuff. Like, and then mine went to going on the 3D printer and ended up coming up with something that I think works really well.
Are those 3D printed now?
Yeah, the pin sled is 3D printed.
All right. How do you what does that stuff come in rolls and you just put it on there and it just feeds it off?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it comes in a round filament, usually 1 kilogram at a time. And yeah, I've got the automatic material selector on the bamboo printer. I've got a bamboo X1 carbon, and yeah, it has 4. You can do 4 different colors, or what I usually do is I have 2 gray rolls that when one runs out, it just automatically flips over to the next one, so it doesn't stop mid print. And then use black and blue, green, all the other colors that I use on the end.
And to kind of tie this back into the marketing plan, you can see where Kyle is also branched off into other things that he makes. And I've seen other people do this as well. I whether it was the golf balls to hold the files, or just different things that are just really functionally perfect. Knife makers are always adjusting their tools and the way they do things, and looking for opportunities to also take advantage of other ideas and stuff that you have that certainly get your name out there. Because I noticed that I don't know who made the first carbide flattening hammer, Kyle, but when early on, I don't know if you were the only guy that anybody knew was making it, and now everybody's making it. I've seen it take off.
Yeah. The Murray Carter made some, but it's a technique that the Japanese and like the saw blade industry was using a lot to straighten out their saw blades when they were spinning. There were a handful of people that were making them themselves, but not very many people that were talking about it or making them to sell for other people. Yeah. And I've had a handful of people that have started making one and then have bought mine. And then I had one guy, he wanted a 16-ounce one, and he started trying to drill it. And he goes, "Hey, would you want to trade one of these Kiradashi knives I make, and I'll send you this hammer and you can finish drilling it and put the carbide ball in and braze it? I'm like, sure, send it to me.
Well, and the thing is, but yeah, you braze them in, which a lot of guys don't braze, and yours, and I've seen yours, and you do a very nice job with that. So are you flattered, or are you kind of like, oh man, when people take an idea that you've got, that you really market it, and it really kicks in, and people start making it across the board? Because you go to Blade, you'll see a ton of Harbor Freight hammers that have been drilled out with carbide balls put in them.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I feel like that's part of the marketing. Lots of times people buy stuff because they want to support you. I feel like my hammers are really well priced for the amount of value they give you. And just being able to use USA made hammers and carbide balls and stuff like that are all sourced from companies in the United States. Where I'm not using a hammer that only costs $4. I'm using a hammer that costs $16. So you can actually use it as a hammer really well. Also, the other side. So
if we move off of this a little bit, let's talk a little bit about social media. And
hold on one second.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So back to the marketing thing. When I was doing the podcast, the people that were listening, we were having other makers on, people were listening, but tips how to level up their own game. And I had a handful of knife making products, and having the podcast to promote some of that stuff has really helped with doing the knife making tools. So that was one of the reasons I leaned into doing some of the tools more, was because I knew I had a group of people that wanted to help support what we're doing. And they're more than likely not going to buy some of my knives because they're knife makers themselves. But they have tools and stuff that they need to make things also.
I've got KH Daily Tools. Mm-hmm. One other thing is, for me, I developed PORKHouse Productions. And PORKHouse Productions is an umbrella company that holds the Knives Templars podcast. It holds Shegman knives and a couple of other things that I'm working on right now. And it made my company, because that's the Umbrella LLC, it made my company bigger visibly as well as functionally, that I could use that and tee off in different areas and become become an investment company. I'm the only investor, but seriously speaking, it made it kind of like when a cobra fans out its hood. It looks much more deadly than it is. I think that for me to develop PORKHouse Productions, which actually started with my fishing lure company, PORKHouse Productions, been around a long time, but it's kind of like fan things out and put a theater around the rest of it, that it's this other things, while still being able to focus on each little thing individually.
Yeah. My LLC is KH Daily Makes.
There you go.
And then we file a doing business as KH Daily Knives.
Yeah. So guys, if you're looking into the marketing side of it, so you want social media, well, I've got Instagram. And I'm not saying me, I'm saying you can say I've got Instagram. Instagram's fine. You need Facebook. If you want to, I don't do X. I do a little stuff occasionally on X. I really do a lot of stuff on TikTok, which I just started doing in the last 4 or 5 months. But while all those things are great, you got to utilize the tools in them. One of the things that I see is that people don't have a good place to go back and land and send people to. You can show people your pretty images, your beautiful knives, the logos and this, that, and the other. But if you don't have a place to send them back to, that's not a storefront, that's not a place for them to contact you, that gives people opportunity to browse your catalog, I think you're falling short. And in this day and age, whether it's GoDaddy or WordPress or any other one, I use GoDaddy. I used to write code, and early in 2000s, I was writing HTML and PHP, developing my own websites. And back then, that was like looking at the matrix and going back and looking at, oh, look what just appeared. Now, how do I adjust that? So it was almost coding in a sorts to do websites. So now it's just, point, select, put it here, put your pictures in it, put your wording there, click go, boom, it's live. They've made it very easy. And it's not terribly expensive. It's an investment. And if you're not doing taxes or not an LLC or whatever type of business you're set up as, then it's an expense that you just have to accept. Even if you're just selling your knives locally for cash. Number one, it's gonna make you much bigger than it's going to set you out from 90-something% of the other makers that are out there. It's going to give people somewhere to go back to, because you're going to redirect them back there either through your posting, your language, your links, or whatever, and the other social media platforms. And you're going to send people out to the social media platforms where they can follow you, whether it's YouTube or any of the others. So that it's cross-referencing back and forth, and also search engines pick that up, and all of a sudden you become a bigger presence on your name, logos, and this, that, and the other. Because also these search engines are looking at images and stuff that pop out there. Go ahead.
One of the big things I think why you need a website is you need something that you own. Like
yes.
on the internet. Like if you just rely on Instagram, like Instagram's a great place to sell stuff and to get people in there. But I mean, we've seen it with not recommending your account and stuff like that. It doesn't take them anything. They're like, oh, community service violation, your account shut down. And you have little to no recourse other than making another account and then like restarting to try to rebuild all that back up. So like all the followers and everything you have on the social media, it doesn't take much of anything to just shut that down.
No.
Where it takes a lot to shut down a website that you own the domain name, you own the server that it's on.
And it gives you a storefront. It gives you a store for people to visit if you don't have a physical store. I know, Kyle, you don't have people coming to your garage too often, do you? Or to your workshop, I should say. You've got garage doors on it, but I mean your workshop. I don't have people, and my shop is in a third car garage full bay. People aren't coming there to buy. I don't want them coming to my house, to be honest with you. Yeah. But unless I know them,
that's the hard part with trying to grow some of that stuff, because I've thought about doing like knife sharpening and stuff like that too, but it would be a lot of people coming to my house. Luckily my garage is a detached garage, so it's a little bit nicer in that respect, but yeah.
So you have a shop then? Yes. Mine's connected to my house. I have to be very careful. I don't ever burn my house down. I sit out there, make sure everything's turned off and shut down and cooled down. But even like I was at Batson's this year, and some guy was like, "Hey, I lived in Hartselle. I want to bring my boy over, and I want to come over to your shop and learn everything in your head." And I was like, "I don't want you at my house," because I was picking up a little bit on this guy's character, to be honest with you. But I'm like. Yeah. I don't want you there.
There's a fine line, and I think some people don't understand that. Like talking to people, like it's weird sometimes with some people. So like listening to our podcasts and stuff like that, lots of people feel like they have a very good sense of who we are, and they feel like they have a relationship with you, where we don't know who they are. And they're like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast for the last 5 years." I'm like, "Okay, that doesn't mean you're not
a psycho killer."
You're somebody that I want to have at my house, like around my family and stuff. So,
and that's really just respecting someone's privacy. I mean, Kyle, I know that you're a big Taylor Swift fan, but there's no way you're going to show up at her front door and say, "Hey, can we go swimming in the pool this weekend with the kids?" She's going to say, "Okay, you bought my albums, but what?"
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I don't think you ever made it that far. I think her bodyguards have already pummeled you and set your kids on the sidewalk. But some marketing stuff, like for Blade Show specifically, if you're planning on having a table and stuff there, like having some people say business cards are dead. I think it's still a pretty good way to have something physical for people to take. Lots of times those get tossed in the trash, but they're pretty cheap. I got 1,000 of them for like, I don't know, $70 or whatever. So yeah, I bought something pretty cool. I have a ring. You've probably seen them, And if I want to exchange any information with people, you can find them business card rings, look them up. And you want to exchange information, I can send them my website, all of my contact information, a photo of me, photo of my knives or whatever.
Isn't that dot?
I think it is dot. You just touch it to their phone and boom, it pops up and they can accept it if they choose to. So that was kind of a nice way because it gets it on their phone, less likely to be the card to be set down. But I still have 1,000 business cards right now because they go into my products as well as get handed out.
Yeah, stickers are a good thing to do too. Everybody loves stickers. You had mentioned before you did want them getting put on kids' toys and stuff, but I try to just hand them out and excuse me, the Star Wars stickers that I had made last year. There were a lot of people that came by the table and I was talking to them and their kids were kind of like looking all weird. I'd say, hey, do you like Star Wars? And they're like, yeah. And I hand them a sticker pack and they'd open it up and they'd be like, oh, and
see,
then
I'm going to do that this year. If some kid walks up and I'm going to go, hey, do you like Star Wars? Yes, nerd. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
but that's cool. That is cool.
It gave them something, helps you to make a connection more with the.
Well, it does. A friendly connection with a potential buyer.
Yeah. So yeah, you're not just there for the smash and grab. Like, I try to, play the long game. I'm hoping that it's all going to pay off down the road. But building all that network of people, and people come by your table every year and year after year.
I would like to know what you and Brian House collectively spend on giveaways and trinkets, but I'll tell you, I have evolved. I told my wife I would not go into my own savings to pay for knife stuff anymore, because each month she would get me. She's like, I was like, oh, that's my fun money for the month, and I have totally switched over. I'm keeping the books, and I have so much I can invest. And before I buy anything or invest anything, I have to pay to resupply my stock so I can make more knives. So, so now this year, rather than just going out and buying shirts for everybody and doing this, that, and the other, I'm working within my budget, and I could afford this much for stickers and this much for a couple shirts for myself and so on. So that will continue to grow now, I do believe. But this year I kind of invested. And of course, some of the other guys went out and bought some of the stuff that I had posted out there. Not that they have to. I'm going to give out some of the stickers I've got. I can't give all those away. And I only bought 150. But and when I said I don't want to just give them away, that people will give them to their kids who will put them on their Barbie dream cars. I kind of said that tongue in cheek because I do agree there's a certain amount of that you have to do. But as a trade show attendee in my industry, I see people just walking in and just grabbing anything and everything they can get, and where does it all go? And I just see the waste in that. But you had said something here. You made a connection with a child whose father may be a buyer, or maybe someday they're a knife enthusiast. You don't know. But the bottom line is that I think it's still all a selection because you made a choice to give that to that child. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't keep the Star Wars stickers out like for anybody just to grab. That's what the Cage Daily Knives and the KP stickers are. Yeah. And then the special Blade Show sticker we do for Knife Perspective each year. We usually try to when somebody kind of asks, we give them to them. So we aren't just, people aren't just grabbing them, because there's some people that come by and they just is this free? Is this free? And they just start grabbing. It's like,
yes. I think next year I'm going to have a rubber stamp made that says, 10% off at KH Daily Knives by putting in Templars 10, and it'll be a rubber stamp that I'll do it in henna ink so that the kid doesn't go away for 30 days. So nice. If you see people coming by with henna tattoos that say Templars 10 for off at KH Daily Knives, just please. No, but that's actually not a bad idea. I just came up with this. Get some henna ink and stamp people with whatever you want them to say. Yeah. They're stuck with it for at least a week. So
yeah. And then marketing for the show, having some don't just have everything flat. Try to have some elevation and stuff. This year, Mark's going to hopefully help me put together this pipe, and I've got a big banner that's going to be 8 to 10 feet up in the air that I'm planning on clamping to the table. I had a little runner in the center, and then it would say KH Daily Knives on the front. But I had so many people even being like close to the front.
Yeah,
that
that's
I
the
thought
problem
people
with
could
those.
see it. Is people would be like, I never could find you. So hopefully, this being a little higher in the air helps people find it a little better.
You need to get some of those stage lighting stands and trusses, the ones that are kind of square, about 6 inches like these, and you'll see them across stages with the lights hanging from them.
Okay.
And get you some lights and stick up there, and maybe a mirror ball, and just kind of keep pulling people in.
Yeah.
Or get you like a Batman light at the bottom, and just kind of having it kind of filtering around through the building.
Chip's great with ideas.
I'm an idea man. And that takes me back to this last thing, guys. When you're using social media, you're doing right when you see people start emulating what you're doing. And I'm not going to lie, I may not make the best knives in the world, but I see a lot of people kind of copy little aspects of what I'm doing. But you also say that the things that I do are things that I've picked up on watching what other social influencers do. I mentioned that I was watching I follow Melissa, and, so she popped up on my feed today when I was saying, hey, here's her pre-workout flexing. But then after that, it popped to her talking about a knife. So I watched the things that she does. And while I don't have the skills to do, don't you guys laugh, I don't have the skills to do what she's doing, I'd get put in jail. I am not a pretty man, but she's an attractive lady, but she's also very smart and very, very fit. And I don't know her personally, but you can just tell she's in command of her future. Good business person. But the thing is, I listened to Knife Perspective. I listened to Knife Talk. I listened to a lot of other podcasts. I sat and watched. I loved watching Jeff Fader make his pizza that got 1 million hits or something like that on his grill using his Fader knife. So I watch all that, but other people watch you, and you know that you're good when people start kind of emulating a little bit what you're doing. Then you got to change your game. Utilize those tools that TikTok offers. Now, I've got an Apple product that allows me to do some of the things that I do, and while none of it's cutting edge, you got to get things down. Nobody wants to watch a 1-minute video listening to Styx sing "Come Sail Away," even though it's your favorite song of your knife sitting on a table. You got to find something to do in 10, 15 seconds that grabs their eye. It jerks around a little bit. My wife says, "Why is that knife shaking?" I said, "I don't know. Give people either epilepsy and attack, or it'll get their attention for a few seconds and they'll move on." So you gotta constantly evolve and use that. Go out and promote yourself, promote your brand, promote your website, mention, and just ride the fine line of, are you irritating people or are you getting through to people? And I think I go back and forth across that line some.
Yeah, if you have a business account or a creator account on Instagram, you can click on the insights and see. And one of the things it tells you is what percentage of people is watching past the first 3 seconds. So
yes, I watched that.
You've got 3 seconds to try to have something interesting that'll get them to stop scrolling. And I feel like that sometimes is pretty hard.
Yes. I talk on your videos too. Don't just show videos. Make a video of yourself describing something. I actually like the videos you've made where you sit and talk and discuss what you're doing, Kyle. Even some of your earlier work where you seem to do a little bit more of that. But I really enjoy those because you are an authoritative voice and you do have the ability to teach in a very short period of time and inspire people. So I enjoy that about you.
Thank you.
Marketing at Blade Show, though, you're in a sea of 600 other makers and stuff.
1,000.
I'm sorry, 1,000. And when you're there with all those guys, as you mentioned, you've got to make your table worth stopping at. If some guys bring 5 knives. I think that Jason says he's not bringing a bunch of knives this year, but he brought something for people. He brought a tobacco cutter last year and was showing people how to tobacco cutter. He always brings his forged in fire weapon. A number of people that wanted to stop and start throwing that thing through the air and trying to kill people with it was amazing. Weren't you with me, Mark, when some guy walked up? Yeah, he was like, "I used to use one of these."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
"Let me show you." And it's like,
yeah, it's like, no. I have to tell you, I have to tell you the story. I used to make enema tips for a living. Do what? Yeah. I used to work for a company in Michigan that made lower GI catheters is the appropriate name, but the nurse would just say, get me a number 11 enema tip, please. And it's for like lower GIs where they do barium x-rays. Well, I used to have to go to McCormick Place or Center in Chicago, Kyle, where they have the big trade shows at every year for the x-ray or the imaging convention. And I hated it because my boss didn't spend a lot of money. He had the little blue apron that they give you at every table. We had some brochures that we printed out on a Xerox machine back when they were called Xerox. And we had all of these blue enema tips, and some had big bulbs on the end. Some were real tiny. Some were some had inflatable balloons. And I was always the butt of jokes, and always the one guy that would walk up and said, I would like to get one of these, this, and this. And I was like, okay, what hospital? Oh, he goes, no, I don't work at a hospital. You can just send them to my house. I'm like, oh, great, another freak. So was not a great industry to work in, but you got to have something that brings people. Go ahead, you're gonna.
Yeah, I had somebody that was like taking my knife and like flipping it all around, and like I was like, and then he like took it edge up and he started rubbing his thumb like along the edge, and I'm like, oh my God, and like the guy goes, is it sharp? And I go, it's extremely sharp. And that's when my dad said, we have a you bleed on it, you buy it policy.
Yeah, it's gonna stain that knife.
My dad had heard me say that a few times to people, and the guy goes, really? And I go, yes. And he like looked at his thumb and he was like, huh. And he put the knife back down. Luckily he hadn't cut far enough in for it to start bleeding, but
oh gosh.
That'd be a great t-shirt. You bleed on it, you buy it, and have like a thumb, like the Ameribraid no fingers t-shirt.
One of the guys I know, he's Auxiliary Manufacturing is his company. Sorry, I'm spacing on his name. I think it's Michael Jarvis is his actual name. But he had like a little table stand that had like a finger with a Band-Aid on it, and it says, you bleed on it, you buy it. I'm like, we need to like print a few dozen of those, and I'm sure people will buy them and put them on their table.
Yeah. Well, you can 3D print some of those.
You can. I'm actually going to make those stickers and sell them for $1 a piece at Blade Show this year.
Yeah,
I'm already asking AI to make this for me. No, I'm joking, but it's actually a good idea, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, keep these secrets to yourself. You may be sleeping with Kyle this year, but damn it, you and I slept together first.
Hey.
Yeah.
He gets around. He slept in my tent at Batson's on the other side of the tent. Yeah. You're safe.
We heard all about your tent escapades and picking one out.
Yeah. I guess that went on for several episodes. We won't talk about the tent anymore. It's stored in a closet until my next escapade. So Kyle, you can help everybody with this next thing. We've talked a little bit about marketing. You got to make yourself stand out. You've got to use all the resources, or otherwise you're just another cloud in the sky. Be the dark cloud, but don't be the dark. Be the sunshine. Be the sunbeams that people see peering through the clouds. Mm-hmm. So it's your first time at Blade Show. People will hear this before Blade Show. First time you ever got a table, you're going in there and you're a little anxious and you got to set up. What can people expect? How do they make their Blade Show a more positive experience if you're a new seller at Blade Show with a booth or a table?
Yeah, if you're a seller with a table, unfortunately, some of the stuff should have been stuff should already have going. Working on your table display, working on how to present your knives, how to present whatever products you're working on, and then having lots of the branding all around. Like I said, I'm going to have a big banner that's going to be up in the air this year to help try to get a little bit more in there. I put a big QR code on that, so if people are taking pictures of like the whole thing, they should be able to still like click on it. The other thing that I see way too many people doing is you spend a lot of money to have a table there, get a hotel room, prep all the stuff and bring it. I see so many people sitting behind their table on their phone, And it's something that we've talked about a ton, and people continue to do it. And then they say, oh, there's just not that great of sales this year. And like, I'm like, how many people did you talk to? It's a numbers game. It's not I talked to one person and they bought something. Like, you don't get a sale every single time you talk to somebody. I usually work the entire day on Friday, and I usually don't sell anything on Friday because a lot of the Friday traffic is people going to specific makers that they're grabbing stuff from.
Right.
Hopefully one day there are people running through the early bird to get to my table first, but I'm not to that echelon yet. So stay involved, stay engaged, ask people what they're doing, ask people what knives they got, ask them how their show's going, just strike up conversations. Tom Crine said something in the How to Sell at Blade Show class on Thursday last year that was really good. And it was something that I knew, but I didn't really put it into words. But he said to treat every single person like they can buy your entire table, like buy everything off your table. And he said he's had people come in and like he had one guy come in, he was still covered in like concrete and stuff from his job. He came straight from the construction site.
Oh, wow.
It was towards the end of the day on Friday. And Tom and him were talking, and the guy ended up buying 8 knives off of Tom's table. And Tom sells some pretty expensive knives. The guy pulled out, or he goes, "How do you want to pay with it?" And he goes, "Is cash okay?" And he pulled out like big roll of $100 bills, and he was just like, so Tom thought maybe the guy might buy one thing, but yeah, he had enough money to buy like literally Tom's whole table, and Tom said he probably had enough money that I would have sold him the whole display and everything too.
Yeah,
so
maybe he owned the company.
Yeah. So I had a somewhat similar thing a couple years ago. I had an older lady on Sunday. I was tired from the show. Had an older lady on Sunday come by, and she goes, "Tell me about the kitchen knives." And I was like, "Oh, great." I'm like going through, tell her like the chef knives are like for rocking, push cutting, and all the stuff. I'm walking her through like the design stuff, and she picks up S ground Magna Cut chef's knife,
Wow.
like $500, and she goes, is this a good one?" I said, "That's probably one of the best ones on the table." She goes, "Do you take a credit card?" I go, "Absolutely." Like didn't think that that was going to go anywhere. So that's a big one to make sure you treat everybody, try to have positive interactions with everybody.
So,
Occasionally
so
you have
long-
somebody.
Oh, so along that path, let me ask you a question. So what happens? I mean, how do you approach the situation where you have multiple people? Maybe it's prime time, right? And there's a lot of folks in there, and you have multiple folks at your table. And then you have somebody who wants to chat it up with you, right? Like, and so you're not sure if he's going to buy or not going to buy, right? But do you focus all your attention on the one person you're talking to, and ignore the other folks, or do you try to split your time up, or like how do you approach that?
So if I have like multiple people at the table at one time, and like one person's more talkative than the other one, I'll usually say, "Hold on one second," and I'll say to the other person, "If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm fully available to talk. Just wanted you to let you know that
That you're not ignoring them."
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's usually how I've done it. I don't know if that's the best way. I feel like that's probably one of the better ways to just let them know that they're still valuable. If they have any questions, you're
Yeah.
more than happy to pause your conversation with the other person. One of the pieces of advice I have for especially makers coming to the show, if you're wanting to get like knife critiques and stuff like that, try to do it not during the show hours. If you can bring your knives in a backpack to the pit. Find them on Thursday if you're going to be there. Try to do some of that stuff when they're not trying to make money to support their family. It's great to talk to them at their table. If nobody's there, by all means, talk. like I'm more than happy to talk to people, but sometimes I've had some people that have wanted to talk how I do my whole process, and I'll pause them and like let other people know that if they have any questions, let me know. And I'll end up talking to some people for 30 minutes or an hour, and just try to be respectful to some of the people behind the table's time.
Yeah.
Also, if you see somebody trying to scarf a chicken sandwich or whatever as fast as they humanly can behind the table, try to just give them a minute and look at some of the stuff on the table, and don't try to actively talk to them while they're trying to like eat their whole meal in 3 or 4 seconds. So that's something that seems to always happen to me. I'm very lucky that I have a group of friends and stuff that will usually say, "Hey, do you want any food? Do you want me to go grab you something so I don't have to leave my table?" And that's so greatly appreciated. But yeah, try to do that to let them have at least at least get finished chewing before you start asking them questions. One of the other things is bring cash to the show. Dan and I both pay for the private Wi-Fi network, so we can process credit cards and stuff easier. But yeah, the cash is always the easiest to do. If it's your first time, also try to make sure you have some change, have some, depending on what you're selling, try to price stuff in 5 increments so you don't have to have dollars. That's a good one. So try to have some change if people buy stuff.
How about do you bring any of those so I know there's chairs back there, and when there's nobody at your table, everybody's sitting down, but most of the time when somebody's talking to somebody, you're standing up, and that could be for a while. You bring any mats to stand on, like kind of ease the back and the knees at all?
Yeah, I've got 2 mats that go like in front of your sink. That have nice tapered edges on the side, so you aren't kind of like tripping on them. And those help a lot. My dad has helped me at my table a bunch, and he insists to still have a chair there. I personally don't like the chairs back behind there. I don't sit at all throughout the whole thing. So I just stand, but I'm used to standing more all the time.
Yeah, you need one of those, those bass boat, I don't know what they call them, 3/4. It's
chairs.
not sitting down, but what do they call those things?
Yeah, like a leaning chair.
Yeah, it's like a leaning chair, right? Like
on a
so
bass boat is called a casting chair.
Yeah, casting chair. Yeah, so that's what you need because you're casting the net for buyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually really good with a bait caster. If you want me to come in, I can bring some people into your table.
Yeah.
I'm really good with a bait caster.
Yeah. One of the things I keep a fairly big hunk of canvas micarta that I bring to the show, and I like to hand that to people so they can like feel how heavy it is and see it and stuff. Just some stuff to get them talking, get them interacting, getting them to stop instead of just kind of doing the cruise straight by your table thing.
Yeah. I personally, I'll be helping a few people at some tables this year, and next year UCell's going to bring TR Maker over to the United States, and we'll have a table there. I'll be working and representing him. I'm actually hoping to be setting up a distributorship, U.S. distributorship with UCell here in the future. Again, branching out, Kyle. But with that being said, I key in on something special about every person that walks by. Could be what they're wearing, it could be the look on their face, could be a conversation that they're having. It could be, hey, did you find something good to eat here today? Just start a conversation and then find something to sincerely compliment them about. And then let people talk about themselves. Mm-hmm. And you get people to talking about themselves because we all love to talk about ourselves. One of the worst things that we do is we don't listen. And I'm terrible at it. My wife will say, "You never listen to me." She's right. But in the public and at work, one of the greatest skills that I think that I own is to sit and sincerely listen to people and let them express themselves. And eventually they'll ask questions about the table and what you're doing because you're drawing them into it. But the big takeaway there is when you are having these conversations, if you're going to Blade and want to talk to customers, be sincere. Don't make up something or say something just irrelevant, or notice something about them that's irrelevant. Because they may not think it has anything to do with it. And you're just sucking them in. But like you were saying, how's Blade Show going for you? Well, I will tell you, I get asked that 82 times per aisle when I go down, and that's okay. It's a good question to have because it will start a conversation.
Or have you bought anything cool? And then
that's a beautiful one.
Immediately say, "Do you have it on you?" And get them to pull it out. So,
well, one of the things that I always do, and I'm bringing it this year, bringing my grandfather's knife. There's a story behind it. And you know that story. You guys, I've shared it with you. So one game that we play in Alabama that I can share with them is that we play a game called Swap. And if you've got a knife on you and you have a buddy around and you go, hey, swap, they got to pull out their knife in their pocket. It doesn't matter what they've got. That's why you always carry two knives in Alabama. You carry your good one, you carry a little cheap one. Okay. You say swap, and they'll pull it out. And if you pull it out and they want that knife, you're swapped. Now, gentlemen will eventually swap back within a day, a week, or a month. And sometimes you just lost a really good knife. And I don't know anybody that's ever truly taken advantage of somebody because it's really in good nature. But I'll sit and tell people, hey, what kind of knife you got in your pocket? Well, everybody's got a knife on it at Blade Show if it's something. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then I'll pull out mine and I can say, hey, this was my grandfather's. And he got it during World War II. And I got it in this box. And, he died when I was 4. And I just got it. And this is how, it's still got all this patina on it. But let me tell you about it. And if they don't want to do that, then I can go on to something else. But having something sincere to talk about that you're passionate about, hopefully you'll bring them in. And maybe that only works with 1 out of 10 people because some people are just in a hurry to go through. But you as Kyle said, treat everybody like a customer, and people want to buy from people they like. Doesn't matter how beautiful. If Kyle Royer sold every knife at Blade Show, if he was nasty to people, he wouldn't sell one Blade Show except people that just wanted his name.
Yeah.
They wouldn't buy his knives because they're beautiful. He's a wonderfully nice man, by the way. I don't know if he could be mean to anybody. So that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think another good thing for your table is to have a variety of price range stuff. I try to do some of the bottle openers and stuff like that have some of my file work and stuff on there. If somebody wants to support me, it's like $50. So lots of times that's a lot easier purchase to make than the $425, $500 knife. So,
do you want another great marketing idea?
Sure.
Well, we have a new American Pope, right?
Yeah. It's a South Side.
Yep, you can. You're from there, so you could actually have some bottle openers. And since you don't have a lot of time, you can etch Pope Leo's name on them, and you can sell Popeners. Openers, and put his name on there, Pope Leo the 16th or whatever, and you can have several Popeners for sale. I actually own a Popener with John Paul II.
Really?
Or John Paul the whatever, the one from 78, 76, 78. Okay. I actually have a Popener that my brother-in-law got me when he went to Rome. I'm like, this is so cool. So there you go. Popeners. Yeah. There's your gig.
Interesting.
All the Catholics will be at your table.
Yeah. I'll have to that's apparently that's an untapped market for Popeners at the Blade Show.
Unless you're at the Vatican now. There's probably the Vatican's Popeners are probably like going to Blade Show. Everybody's got one, It's got a little clip on it to pull the cap off the box. And that reminds me, we got to talk about some stuff, guys. Ameribraid.com. If you want a great grinder, head out to Ameribraid.com. Check out their Mastery Foundations and Get Grinding package. I will tell you, I ordered again from them this week. I needed a couple arms because I'm building some secret stuff. And I needed some arms to mount some ideas on because I'm actually kind of coming up with a waterfall platen off of their arm that I think is a much simpler design. That theirs is a very nice one. It's just kind of complicated in the way you got to mount it all and everything on there. Maybe once it's installed, it's not that big of a deal, but it didn't appeal to me. So I've got an idea for something. I'm working on that. Anyway, I got 20% off because I put in Templars 20 at checkout. So it looks like that's still active. I don't know if it'll leave you go out there, but you can try Templars 20. And if you haven't purchased from Ameritrade before, that's a one-time purchase. You may be able to get 20% off your order. Go out and see Emily at Casting Crafts if you want. She's going to be at Blade Show with some of her beautiful acrylic knife scales and all kinds of designs. They are pretty, pretty, pretty. I see a lot of people buying them. I see a lot of people trying to copy what she does, but it doesn't copy. You know what the Sikowskis and Sarah are to the artistic scales that they make out of wood? She is to acrylic scales. Just gorgeous stuff. Mark's going to be skipping his trip up to Maritime Knife Supply since they will be at Blade Show this year. We'll have to go over and see him, Mark, and you can find them at MaritimeKnifeSupply.com or save the shipping. Go to Blade Show and buy from them directly there. They got great products, materials, kilns, handle material, and there. What you got, man?
I don't think Lawrence has a table,
but he'll be moving around there.
Yeah, he goes and shakes hands with everybody.
Oh, well, Mark, go up and shake his hand, and say you need to come down next year so I can save on shipping. But anyway, if you go to Maritime Knife Supply, great shipping rates as well as great products. If I can't find something somewhere, and sometimes I go directly to him, I like to keep a few different suppliers, but he is on my top 2 list. I got 3, but he's on my top 2 for sure.
Yeah, he was handing out beer koozies, and he had like a little gift card in there for like $10 off your order.
Yeah, I gave those to my granddaughter. She put those on her cozy coupe car.
Even the $10 off coupon?
Yeah, she taped it to it.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Lawrence is one of the most wonderful people you'll ever meet. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Guys, if you need a hammer, go out to F&M Metalworks. You can find them on Facebook's /Two Bastards, BASTERDS, Two Bastards, and find some of the finest hammers being made out there. I also want to mention Clark Iron Forge. Old Clark Taplin sent me a picture tonight, and I want to show it to you guys in the listening audience. Actually, I can't do that, but what I can do is I can show the guys here, and they can give you an impression on what they see. If I can get it to open up here, let's see here, guys. Guys, what do you think about that? You see that tool right there?
Yeah, I was seeing him work on that. He's got like a turnbuckle up at the top, and it's a double hollow grinder. The wheels, so you can stick the knife up in the bottom, and it grinds on both sides at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, so a wonderful new product that he's coming out with. When I talked to him tonight, he was actually adding water cooling to it. So he's really investing. That guy is a phenomenal. He's like you, Kyle. He's the Tennessee version of Indiana/Illinois Kyle as far as creativity. So you guys are special. And I just
do you know if Two Bastards is going to have a table this year, or are they just walking around?
I don't know if he will or not. I have not heard. I usually see him chattering out there, and I haven't heard. But didn't they have something in Texas? I thought they had a display in Texas.
Yeah, I don't know. I was talking about if they have something in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not sure. I haven't. I'll look on the. I'll have to look on the attendees, not the attendees list, but the vendors list, or whatever you call that. What do you guys? If you have a table, exhibitors list. There we go. I'll look and see.
What would that be under? Two.
Are we? Well, hey, Mark, sing for us while we're looking that up. Blade Show. I'll talk while we're doing. You can see how fast I type. Blade.
I don't think he's got anything.
2025 exhibitors. All right. Exhibitor list. Blade Show Atlanta 2025. Well, there's the great Kyle Daly.
Yeah.
Two Bastards. I got to get down to the T's.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
ST, right? ST. That's where it comes in. Nope. There's TWI Twisted Assisted Limited. Tyrell Knife Works is going to be there. True
Yep.
Grit. So Tomek will be there. So yeah, it doesn't look like, I'm sure he'll probably be there, but doesn't look like he's selling anything there this year.
Yeah. And then if you have Saturday morning available, I'll be teaching my file work and handle shaping and pen placement class at 6:30 or 8:30 in the morning. Mark has taken it twice. I think that says a lot that he liked it so much he wanted round 2. So
And
yeah.
for the other listeners, I'll be working KH Daily Knives table for him while he's teaching that to give him a little help, and we'll be selling everything at 75% off.
It's a good thing. A good thing the show's only open for 30 minutes at the beginning there.
Is your dad going to work the table, or is VMAX going to be over there?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be there.
VMAX is going to be there. My dad wanted a year off. He
Oh,
it's not really knives aren't really his thing, and he's been there 5 of the last 6 years. So he said if there's another person that wants to share the room and stuff with you, I'd be fine with that this year.
he's such a nice guy, though. I like your dad. He's got personality. He's and he speaks highly of you, and that's wonderful. You honor him, and he honors you. Yeah, and seriously, on a serious note, if you guys, you need bathroom breaks and to eat and this, that, and the other, you've got my number also. So if you need anybody just to come over there and hold down the fort while you run and do what you do real quick, you got friends. I know you got friends around you too, but hey, you never run out of friends.
My loser friend Baldman Knife and Tool got a booth, so he's not right there next to me this year.
I saw that. I saw it, and he works a lot with Brian House, doesn't he?
Yeah,
a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a employee of Housemaid.
That's right. I forgot. That's right. He came up with the tilt table idea, if I'm not mistaken, when they started doing that. Yeah, really nice guy.
I've got one of those that he sent me when I was trying them out. They work really good for some of the smaller knives I do. With the bigger kitchen knives, the wide bevel, it's hard to get enough pressure, I've found on there, at least for the way I grind. Like I said, I've pretty much done the push stick work rest method, and I don't really see myself changing too much from that.
Yeah. Now that I know you don't mind anybody just showing up at your shop, I kind of like the idea of that. Maybe I can come up for a couple days apprenticeship and just sweep the floors and watch you do things. I'd love to watch you make knives sometime. But I'll make sure I'm fully. You don't mind the boys sleeping down. They have bunk beds, or what do they got?
Yeah, they got bunk beds.
Okay, they can either both sleep on the bottom or the top. I don't care, or they can go to the living room. I get the top bunk. I always get the top bunk. I had the top bunk.
We've got a guest room,
but I always had. But I had the top bunk in prison when I was in prison, and it's just the way I am. Yeah. You got a bunk bed in your house. I'm taking it. Hey, I went to idiot prison for not being funny and sarcastic. So there you go. Hey, we're winding down. Been a fun 2 hours. Eric's working late tonight. I think Josh is on the road. Jason has taken a new job and is moving down to between around College Station, Bryan, Texas area. So that's great, because when I go to Waco, I'll be able to stop down and sleep in his twins' bunk beds, kick them out of their room, and visit him for a little bit here or there. Emily has gotten back from Europe, and she's got the flu tonight. And Steve is working his tail off to make sure he's got a great blade show coming up. Going to have a lot of great, interesting things that tells the story of his life. So I'm looking forward to actually meeting Steve. I've talked to him, but I actually meet him at Blade Show. Looking forward to that.
I think he's like table A1, maybe 1A.
Yeah, something like that. He's right up front, easy to find, especially the cultural looking, African cultural looking blades and things that he makes really stand out amongst the crowd. Another great way to market yourself, make something really cool that nobody else is really doing. I don't even think any of the other African makers there really kind of do what he's doing. It's really kind of special. So what do you got planned for the weekend, guys?
More Blade Show stuff, and then we're dropping the boys off at 3:30 at my mother-in-law's house, and we're going to have a date night. So
Excellent.
They're going to
Excellent.
spend the night with their grandma or their nana. That's the term they like to use for.
My wife is a nana.
And yeah, so we're gonna have a whole kid-free evening, and then we're gonna go out to brunch Sunday morning. So
Nice.
should be fun.
Very good. Very good. So where are you going on a date? Anywhere? I don't mean to get too personal. Just anywhere fun?
We're gonna go to downtown Naperville and walk around the shops there. My wife wants to hit up the Penzeys Spice place and get some more cooking spices.
Isn't that's like a really cool spice place? I've seen, haven't they been on TV or something?
Probably. They're a pretty big chain.
Yeah, we order Penzeys Spices. They're
okay, that's what it is.
Fresh.
Okay, I've heard the name before. It seems like I was watching a show one time and somebody went to one of their stores and had a blast.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool shops and stuff down there. And then we're going to a seafood place, Catch 35, that's downtown.
Nice.
There.
All
So we got
right.
some reservations.
Eating seafood in the Midwest.
Yeah, they've got some freshwater fish and stuff, along with some of the surf and turf and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I know that I always love to eat seafood up there, and there were some places that flew seafood in a few times a week, and you could get really good stuff like that. But honestly, when I got up there and had walleye and perch that were Great Lakes fish and walleye, I won't pass walleye up for anything on a table. It's just so good.
Yeah. That's one
Delicious
of my
stuff.
favorite fish, walleye and bluegill. But the bad part about bluegill is you got to catch like 20 of them to have a meal.
It's kind of like little yellow perch, but I'll tell you, unless they're jumbo perch. But down here, now, here's the thing about bluegill. Hey, let's do this, and then we'll talk about fish.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Brought to you by PORKHouse Productions. Oinky, oinky, oinky.
Oinky, oinky, oinky. Hey, I'll get all of that closing and after show stuff here in a minute, but about bluegill. Now, I love walleye. When I moved to the Midwest and could catch walleye and eat them, they're delicious. And people eat a lot of bluegill. I've ate a lot of bluegill as a kid growing up, and we fillet it and fry it, cornbread and fry it, and it's very good. But in Michigan, and you might be the same way in Chicago, when we would go ice fishing, and you catch winter bluegill and the meat is firmer and it's as good as walleye or perch. It's just delicious. I don't know what it is about the winter fish, but just delicious. That's all I was going to say.
I haven't been ice fishing yet. I've had a handful of my Wisconsin friends invite me up there. So may do that one year.
If you want, I'll bring my shanty and my ice auger to Blade Show. I brought them to Alabama with me. I still got them.
Yeah.
It's a pop-up shanty. All the guys up in Wisconsin, I'm sure, have some really nice pull them out on the lake and spend the weekend there kind of shanties.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yep.
VMAX, what are you doing this weekend?
We'll on Saturday have that knife guild meeting, and so that's basically that's more of an open forge meeting. We're going back and forth. We're going to have a demo one meeting, and then the following month is going to be an open forge. So we're going to go back and forth like that. So we're getting that done, and then I'm going to finish working on this hidden tang. We're not finished. I'm going to do some more work. I'm going to mostly work in the guard and guard fit up, try to get that done, and so that next week I could really work on the handle, because I did a guard. I have a smaller hidden tang file knife that I made that the guard fit up came really good, and so I was really happy with that. So I want to get both of the guards done, and this way I can kind of focus on handles on both of those. So
you need to let Kyle see your knives. Make sure you bring those knives, because I'm serious. It's all what you want to do. I think that those knives you showed me, you may want to show them to him and see. Hey, go ahead and start the process.
I'll bring them on Saturday and show them to Josh. See what he thinks.
You do have to have a business. Have you sold any knives?
I have not. I can sell some knives, but folks have been asking for them.
I think in that, Kyle, isn't that one of the aspects, is that you have to be in the business of selling knives?
I'm not familiar with that part of it.
I think I saw
I'll
that
look it up.
in the laws. Regardless, I'll buy one of your knives for $1, and that way you can tell them I'll spend $100. Okay, and that's one knife maker buying a knife from another. I'll do that so that you can say you sell knives. But anyway, go in and read the regulations, because your knives that you just showed me tonight are just beautiful. They're gorgeous.
Yeah. I think I saw a little bit from the side. Did some thorn file work on those?
I saw that.
Yeah. I think they're all thorn on that on those 5. Just kind of when I'm doing like a batch of the same ones, it's really nice just to have the same file pattern that I can go through and do all. All right, I got this out, and I'm doing all the. Especially when you're using the little Dremel that you showed, the Fordham tool that you put in the vise, and then you just tap your knife up there. That's makes it so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I haven't paid for your show or for your class, Kyle, and I do want to pay for it, I can pay for it. You can pay for it that day, right? Or the day before, or whatever.
No, there's only a certain number of tickets, so you need to buy it
online
on Blade shows. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go there tonight, because you sent me the card, and I am interested in doing some of that based on looking at the card and actually seeing the patterns and how you can go in and make it. I will pick up a book from you in Blade Show this year, and I've got a Fordham tool and stuff. But right now, I'm really focusing on starting my Damascus journey, kind of like Pinto did a year or two ago. I've bought some canisters, and I want to do some canister Damascus. And I've also got some saw blades and some 10 steel that I want to, or 1084. I've got some 1095 and so on. I want to set and make some Damascus that way. And I don't really want to do the whole borax soak, because I just don't want to destroy my equipment. So I'm going to go the kerosene route for my work and see how that works out first. If not, I'll make myself a sacrificial forge. But I'm going to start pulling those things together. So there we go.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to say: if you're going to Blade Show at all, you definitely need to go to the pit that everybody talks about. That's the Hotel Waverly's lobby. It's attached to the convention center there. If you that's the best place to get critiques and talk to makers and stuff, because you're not at their table taking time that they can interact with their other customers.
True.
And then it's a great place to come find me and have a beer and stuff like that.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. And if you don't smoke a cigar and you want to learn, it's a great day to go out the side door there into the cigar smoking parking lot and smoke cigars with everybody. I'm a pipe kind of guy, so bring a pipe if you want to bring a pipe. So
lots of good bourbon and all sorts of liquor and stuff too. People bring some of their harder to find bottles and bring them to share with people. So
yes, they do. Well, guys, recording went well tonight. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Good topics, Mark. Hey, listen, guys, if you have any questions, comment, product reviews, show guest ideas, subscribe or email us at theknivestemplars@yahoo.com. You can DM us on Facebook in the Knives Templars podcast group. You can also visit us at knivestemplars.com, our website, to stay up to date. Our episodes are sponsored by Two Bastards, TR Maker, Clark Iron Forge, The Rivers Experience, Casting Crafts, Ameribraid, Pops Knife Supplies, Maritime Knife Supply, Phoenix Abrasives, and 10% off your order if you put in Templars 10 or KP10. And we're also sponsored in part by KH Daily Knives and the Knife Perspective podcast, because he brings his expertise over here as well. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, Anchor, Amazon, YouTube Video, CastBox, and many others. Again, see us on Facebook and email us at theknivestemplars@yahoo.com. And guys, I know you're looking forward to it, so go ahead and say it.
Oinky, oinky, oinky.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Oinky, oinky, oinky. Brought to you by PORKHouse Productions.